mysterious stories.
Number 7. Peggy the Headache Doll. It appears that Jane Harris is a paranormal investigator who becomes expert in haunted dolls. One day, she is given by chance a blonde-haired, blue-eyed doll named Peggy. Jane claims that Peggy's previous owner bemoaned to her about nightmares in which they felt too hot and otherwise disturbed. These issues grew into a full-fledged illness until the owner realized what was going on and made up his mind to remove the doll. Despite the fact that the owner had been aware in their hearts that it was the doll that was making them sick all along, for some reason, they were fond of the doll and didn't want to remove her if at all possible. When moving Peggy to a different part of the house and visits from a priest were ineffective, the doll was given to Jane by them instead and they started to feel better. Jane was surprised by the overwhelmingly negative feedback she received after posting pictures and videos of the new doll on her website. Even though most dolls seem to provide commiseration and security, Peggy appeared to have the opposite effect. After seeing Peggy, no less than 80 visitors had written to her, complaining about health problems. The most popular complaints were intense headaches, chest pains, nausea, terror, and haunting visions of a nightmarish institution. Computer screens that became frozen were also frequently reported. After seeing pictures of the doll, one person, in particular, announced light bulbs blowing out no matter where she went. Despite the fact that Jane herself claims that she suffers from migraines and feels exhausted after being around Peggy, she goes on experimenting on the doll in order to learn more. She primarily communicates with Peggy using a special paranormal device, and she claims that she has used this device to discover some of the doll's secrets. For example, she thinks that Peggy passed away while experiencing chest pains, is angry at someone, and does not appear to want to disclose much more due to her obstinate personality. On the other hand, other psychics have learned more about Peggy through a channeling technique known as automatic writing. By offering their hand for use, the ghost is permitted to write through them by the psychic. With this technique, the majority of psychics accept that the spirit of a Holocaust victim is the owner of Peggy. This would explain why people have nightmares about being in a dark and unsafe place with enormous worry. Jane was capturing her discoveries in a journal one night when she became tired of being around Peggy's exhausting aura for too long and made up her mind to retire for the night. When she returned to Peggy's room the following day, the journal was nowhere to be discovered. It wasn't until she looked up that she noticed the journal high up in the rafters. There was no way it could have gotten up there on its own, and Jane certainly did not put it up there. Peggy was at fault. She was certain of it. She had the impression that Peggy was attempting to say to her that it was time to call it quits on the investigation.
Is that Peggy? Are you making those noises?
Number 6. Are you a believer? Despite the fact that of all the things a poltergeist could own, a Justin Bieber action figure can be the worst option, that seems to be exactly what took place. After his daughters bemoaned that a Justin Bieber figure changed position by itself during bath time, a YouTuber named Geek Girls created a series of videos. According to him, this video was made by the father as a joke to demonstrate that his daughters are wrong. When he returns to review the proof, he is astounded to discover that his daughters were not lying after all. The father begins the video by explaining the situation while in his daughter's bathroom. He turns on the water because this appears to be the only way the Bieber figure moves, and walks away, leaving the figure on the edge of the tub. Shortly after exiting, the Bieber doll starts scooting around on its own back. There are no visible cuts or edits in the video, nor are there any visible strings attached. In a second video, the father attempts to replicate the results from a different angle, and sure enough, a plastic Justin Bieber appears to change position entirely on its own. It seems to move in a straight line towards the camera. Should it be a ghost, it simply cannot stop playing with this toy. In the final video, another doll is placed on the edge of the tub by the father, and he lights a candle. The candle burns out on its own after he repeatedly asks if anyone else is in the bathroom with him. Number 5. Jane says Jane Harris seems to attacks one more time, this time with an unnamed puppet who appears to enjoy strangling people while they are fast asleep. Jane was given this puppet from a man named John, who declined to give his last name. According to John, he became heir to the marionette puppet from his father in the 1960s. When his father still lived, there is not anyone who would sleep in the same room as the puppet because it gave off a strange vibe. One day, John took all of his deceased father's belongings from the house. The only thing he didn't need to remove was the puppet, which he placed on his bedside drawer before retiring for the night. It seems that John recalls seeing a shadow dart out from the corner of his eye at one point. Someone then wraps their hands around his throat. And despite the fact that his throat is completely closed when he attempts to wake his wife, she was sound asleep and she spent some time awakening. After that, the puppet returned to the drawer. Despite the fact that John soon removed the puppet, according to him, he still suffered from nightmares of an old man sitting on the edge of his bed, staring at him, or sitting on top of him, strangling him. It appeared that Jane had an idea exactly what to do when she was given the marionette from John. Jane made up her mind to use a camera with night vision to record the puppet every night, just as other paranormal investigators had decided to keep an eye on Anne for signs of activity. She placed the puppet inside a case that a priest had blessed first so that it couldn't exist. Even though she would listen to weird bumps and knocking sounds emerging from the room at first from time to time, she didn't record anything. After that, one night, all of her fears were confirmed. The puppet is sitting upright and motionless in this video. It appears that the wooden cross that used to be in control of the puppet strings collapses unexpectedly. Later, it creeps forward at a 90-degree angle, slamming into the glass. Could it be that the hands guiding it are the same ones that strangled John in his sleep? Later, according to a psychic medium, a malicious old man was the owner of the puppet. This account corresponds to the dreadful old man who used to choke John in his dreams. Number 4. She was an American girl. Even though this video is short, it is quite sweet. A young girl seemed to be recording her whole American Girl doll collection for no apparent reason other than to be a happy child. She arranged neatly her dolls on 2 closet shelves, each staring blankly ahead. She discovers one doll in particular who goes by the name Elizabeth when she says to us their names one by one. When its name is mentioned, the bald-headed doll literally closes and opens one eye quickly at the camera. The doll's timing is surely flawless. The girl's left eyelid closes and opens one more time for a long, friendly closes and opens one eye quickly as soon as she says Elizabeth. This is just accurate before she speaks briefly of how friendly the doll is and how well it gets along with the other dolls. Despite the fact that the working mechanism that is in control of a doll's eyelid can occasionally fail, this usually results in the doll's eyes remaining closed. There seems to be no good explanation for why only one of the doll's eyes would close and after that, reopen. Even if this was a technical error, the timing is almost too bizarre to be a coincidence. It's almost as if the doll was looking forward to the mention before overacting it up for the camera. Number 3. Anne's Dead Eyes. The name of a porcelain doll is Anne from the early 1900s with a particularly dark past. Anne and other dolls like her, according to legend, were usually given to sick children at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky. They say that when Anne was given to a child who passed away due to tuberculosis, the child's soul was absorbed by the doll and it became possessed. People have frequently announced feeling a passing chill no matter when they are near Anne, and they have also listened to her talk late at night. Jennifer Johnson, a paranormal investigator, purchased the doll on eBay for $100 and got it to ship to her in New York in recent years. Despite the fact that she and her team of paranormal investigators had intended to monitor the doll at all hours of the day for any signs of abnormal activity, she made up her mind to make things more interesting by allowing the entire world to watch with her. It seems that streaming the doll live on YouTube for 2 weeks is a great opportunity for people to discover anything unusual. Jennifer filmed herself unwrapping Anne when she eventually arrived. When Jennifer opened the box, she was struck by how cold it was. Nonetheless, she made up her mind to go ahead with her plans and post Anne online for all to see. Several strange things began to occur during the stream. Strange pulsing lights were reported by YouTubers, and some claimed to have seen Anne's eyes move at times. Strange things were also taking place on Jennifer's end. For a while, the stream was silent. When she went to investigate, she discovered that the power cable had been physically removed from the back of the computer. The timestamp on the video indicates that the disconnect occurred when there is no one from Jennifer's team being present. Besides, the doll appeared to cause a lot of malfunctions in other nearby equipment. For example, during an interview with the Huffington Post, Jennifer's phone strangely disconnected the call, and other similar electronic intercessions would occur on a regular basis no matter when people approach Anne. On the other hand, one incident, in particular, drew nearly everyone's attention when they discovered it. Immediately, Anne's live stream becomes very huge for a split second one day at 9:25. This moment was captured by many viewers and they sent it to Jennifer and her team. When an engineer on Jennifer's team examined the video, he determined that the disturbance was legitimate. The screen was discovered not to have become heavily pixelated during the close-up shot because it would if someone had manually enlarged the image. Despite the fact that there is another explanation that the video seemed to able to be a glitch on YouTube's end when it switched resolutions, it is believed that Anne caused the glitch. It was clear that Anne had discontinued the broadcast to get her appearance to be known to them. Number 2. Leg crossing lamely. Because lamely dolls are comparatively new, you may not have heard of them before. Unless you have heard of them, all you had to have an idea is that they designed them with usual body proportions so that they bear a resemblance to regular people rather than supermodels like Barbie. This way, young girls are less likely to feel pressured to look thinner. Having said that, it appears that lamely dolls may come with a second unintended gimmick as well, being haunted. It appears that the dolls can change position on their own, according to a promotional video shot at St. Edmund's Academy. In 2014, a private school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania accepted to leave the doll makers to record their second-grade class playing with lamely dolls for a commercial. At first, despite the fact that everything appears to be normal when the children are discussing the dolls and providing clearly scripted responses, something unexpected takes place. There seems a child who is sitting in front of two lamely dolls that are face up on a desk in one brief scene. One of the dolls seems to cross one foot over the other without being touched while she thinks about what jobs the dolls might have if they were real. It seems that the doll is paying close attention to the child's response. By the time the girl responds that the doll is most likely a swimmer, it has crossed its right foot completely over its left. Second graders react to lamely and other fashion dolls is sure the title of the video. Many people see this as evidence that haunted dolls do exist. It has nearly 5 million views on YouTube from both paranormal enthusiasts and skeptics.
Say the career would be of the lamely doll.
Swimmer?
A swimmer.
Being a teacher.
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 Surfing. Like a computer job.
Number 1. Number 7. Walk This Way in Saltillo, Mexico. Even though there is a doll that is not similar to any other in the world, you'd never have an idea until you saw it taking action. The lifelike figurine rises to about waist level and stares straight ahead. However, different from regular dolls, it appears to be picky about who it keeps and appears to have its own mind. So much so, in fact, that the whole neighborhood believes it is the result of witchcraft. What makes them so terrified? This doll, on the other hand, can walk. This doll, on the other hand, won't go for just anyone. It appears to have only one person it trusts. Only the doll's personal owner, Rosalba Valdez Alvarado, can persuade it to move by holding her hand and walking alongside it. The doll merely does not change the position of anyone other than herself. By good fortune, for the rest of the world, she was more than willing to record the walking doll. It seems that the video begins with Rosalba, an older woman dressed in a striped blue shirt. She grabs her doll's wrist and leads her for a gentle 14-pace walk. What's very strange, even for something this strange, is how the doll's feet coordinate with the woman's step for step. When the old woman moves her left foot, the doll moves her left foot at the same time. It nearly appears they have a genuine bond. A neighborhood teen is permitted to try walking with the doll by Rosalba after she has demonstrated how simple it is. It appears that the child holds the doll's wrist in the same way that the elderly lady did previously. Despite the fact that he attempts to take a step forward, the doll does not follow. He seems to attempt one more time, however, this time it doesn't work. The next gentleman is a much older gentleman. He, too, tries to walk with the doll and fails miserably. Even when he gently tugs on the doll, she does not move. Perhaps she just doesn't enjoy men. Rosalba holds the doll's wrist one more time, and the two of them walk forward for 15 steps as if to remind them how simple it is. See? Easy. One more time. The doll's feet are perfectly in sync with Rosalba's when they are easy to walk across her patio. The neighbors are still hard to believe at this point. To assuage their fears, she removes the doll's clothing, revealing that the doll is made of nothing more than hollow plastic. Even though her doll's hand is grabbed by a third neighbor grabs and she attempts to pull it forward, the doll refuses to move for him. Rosalba can only walk forward as one when she stands on the other end of the doll and holds its hand. According to critics, the doll must be powered by magnets or a special switch. However, Rosalba has always demonstrated that her magical doll is designed simply that is free of such tricks. In addition, it appears that she is an elderly woman who does not appear to be capable of designing such a device in the first place. Oh, and there's one more thing. This trick can be carried out by her with either the doll's left or right hand, it doesn't appear to matter which. All that appears to be necessary is that Rosalba is close by. Rosalba's neighbors claimed that they saw the doll's wrist move on its own one day while looking through the window. Perhaps it's time for them to relocate.
¿Y nada más cuando usted camina, señora?
Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because I upload a new video every day. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of my other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy.